FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
What was that experience like of working on that documentary with Spike?
It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life because, you know, working in the film, I've always worked on films that had tough topics, Four Little Girls or Malcolm X, but they were films. And, you know, when you're writing music for a scene, you're watching these scenes over and over and over and over again. So they can have an effect on you. So generally what I would do, I'd play with my kids, go outside, we go hang out, do something. Well, the hardest thing about doing Levees was when I needed to take a break, there was no place to go because I would step outside into the reality of what it was that I was working on inside. And it was also very hard because, you know, other than taking my mother to view my father's body at the funeral home, taking her to see her home was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life.
And it's one of the deepest scenes in the film. Well,
the thing is she and I, to her credit, you know, you know, Spike asked her to do it, and she wanted to do it, and I said, listen, do you realize what this entails? And she said, yeah, people need to see what's going on. But the thing about it, and I tell people, if you cried for my mother, you have to multiply that by at least 300,000 because that's the exact same reaction that number of people had, you know. But the beautiful thing about it, in my mind, was that didn't deter people. I mean, to walk back and to see everything gone. I mean, we walked in that house, man, all of the pictures were destroyed. Everything was destroyed. And she still had a desire to come back and move into that house. My wife, we owned a small house uptown that had no damage. And my mother and my aunt and my aunt's husband, they lived in that house for a little bit. But and we wanted to get my mom to stay there. But she constantly talked about moving back. And one of the things that broke my heart was the contractor that I talked to, who was rebuilding a number of the homes in the neighborhood. This is the thing that really makes New Orleans special to me, is that he told me, he said, you know, he was talking to most of these people, who were mostly elderly people. He said, listen, now that your home is gutted, why don't we update it? Why don't we do this? We could do that. And he said 99.9% of them said, can you just make it like it was?
Right. Right.
You know, and that spoke volumes about the love of community. I got really upset, you know, when I started hearing all of these negative things, you know, thrashed about New Orleans, because the thing that I was saying was, listen, I remember one guy said something about God, you know, was punishing the city. I'm like, come on, man, let's move away with that nonsense, because one of the places that was hardest hit, while it was one of the most poor neighborhoods in the city, it was filled with homeowners. Those people weren't renting. They owned those homes. They lived in dignity. Right. And they had a strong sense of community. I used to live in that neighborhood when I was a kid in the lower Ninth Ward. So I know what that neighborhood is like. And I think right now, what you're seeing in New Orleans right now is a testament to the spirit and the will of the community and the people. All of these things that we've been talking about in a joyous way, those are the very same things that fuel a fire for people to come back and rebuild a community.